finally, I hear you say. For those of you who have all been waiting on tenterhooks and you've been counting down the hours, minutes, seconds to the release of our next video, here it is. And why is everybody so excited? Because we're going to be revealing the new name of Van. So first of all, I'll let you know what we had planned on calling Van, and that was Eugene. That's because the last three letters of the registration are EWJ. If you kind of say that out, it's Euge, and the van is French. So we thought, oh, Eugene. But then we put it out there to you lot, and we have had some very good responses. And I have to say that Eugene has definitely fallen by the wayside. Carl Whitehouse, thank you very much for suggesting Movano. I understand completely where that comes from, but it has a Welsh kind of theme to it, so we discounted that one. David from Desmond's Donzers, thank you for your suggestion of Monsieur Wiz. Obviously, the first two letters of our registration are MW, and being French, I like the little tie-in there with Monsieur. However, we have actually gone with Where's Wandering's suggestion, and they suggested Moo. So they commented on the fact that we have a cow behind us, and the first two letters being MW, Moo. I do have a love of Highland cows. On a recent trip to Scotland, one of my bucket list items was to take a photo of a Highland coo. Achieved. I have lots of coo bits and bobs. Anybody that knows me, any of our YouTube followers, they kindly send me coo-related items. So the van is now called Moo, and I have purchased some art to go in the van once it's completed. We have this lovely laser-cut coo. It's got daisies in her hair, so it's a her. So not only is Van now called Moo, but Van is a she. Again, thanks to everyone who suggested a name.
The last video ended up with us finishing the 76 holes, was it? Or was it 75?
I forget now.
I think it was 76.
It was a lot.
It was a lot of holes.
But they're gone.
They're all gone. So this time around, what we've done, we've installed battens across the steel floor. We've put some insulation board in the gaps between the battens. And cutting that stuff out was a lot more tedious than it looks on lots of videos.
Yeah, it was a really dank, windy weekend. So Operation Cutting Celitex, or whatever brand it was, moved inside into the kitchen.
It got messy.
It got very messy. We even got the big sharp kitchen knife out in the end.
Yep.
Because the Stanley knife wasn't quite going all the way through. And I'll tell you what, it looks easier than it is to cut that stupid stuff.
It does. Then we went ahead and cut some plyboard to fit on top of all of that lot.
How many pieces?
It's supposed to be 3 pieces, but this van build may have involved 4 pieces as I cut out the wheel arches narrow ways, out of the narrow way instead of out of the wide way. So the 4th piece, or the 3rd piece that was installed, was done properly. Now that was a bit of templating and jigsaw work. Happy with the result. We used plenty of screws, didn't we?
Yeah.
To get everything down nice and tight.
And then what did I spend all day yesterday doing?
Wood filler. So we filled the
Filling
tops.
more bloody holes.
Yeah.
Just call me the hole filler.
We spent half an hour this morning watching Greg Virgo's video on how to put the subfloor down in a camper van. Thanks very much, Greg. Already started doing it. We have the blue roofing battens and they are roughly laid out in place. I've Sikaflexed down the first one and I'm about to do the second one. So that's all the left to right battening done. The next step is to have some lunch and then cut the long ways inserts in.
Mama's house, do you believe? Do
So we haven't, or actually as of today, because actually today's Sunday, we hadn't decided what kind of flooring we were going to lay, whether it was going to be so you can get like vinyl tiley slot togethery flooring.
They're made out of some kind of limestone mix. They're quite heavy.
But they looked nice.
They did.
Or whether we were going to use traditional vinyl. So that's why I wanted to fill all the holes, because obviously if we opted for vinyl, we didn't want any of the little holes to show through the vinyl after we start using it. So and we did opt for vinyl in the end. We brought home some a sample of the like slot together vinyl flooring.
Yeah.
But then I thought potentially with the movement of the van, I was a bit worried that it would kind of blow up a bit. Whereas if you've got movement of the floor in the van, vinyl's a lot more forgiving.
A lot more compliant.
And it was a lot less weight. It wasn't cheaper. We went for quite an expensive vinyl, just because I wanted it to be really hard durable, and also I wanted to have a TOG rating on it, so it had added some kind of insulation as well.
It's already much warmer in the van with the floor down, to be honest, and it's much more pleasant being here with a flat floor.
Yeah.
That doesn't have holes in it. That was awful on the knees, that stuff. I'm so glad to have the floor down.
Yeah.
In addition, what we've done is we've used some expanding foam to go and seal all the little cracks and edges.
Yeah.
To make it further draft proof. Yeah, very, very happy with the end result.
Yeah, so we've bought some floor protector at the moment until the flooring goes down, because I don't want our nice new wood getting covered in wet, muddy footprints. So as far as flooring goes, until the actual vinyl arrives, we're kind of done. Flooring is now done. We're happy with it.
There's a tiny bit of tidying up, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to take an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next thing that goes on top is the vinyl, and then the flooring is done.
Will be done. Yeah.
So what else have we been up to?
The best part about anything new. Ooh, so satisfying.
Yes, I don't know if you can see from the camera behind us, but over here it looks like it's just a little over there.
We're definitely a camper van now, because we have a window there, and there. So we've got the small oval one, which actually we probably haven't shown, so we'll add that to this video.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, there's
having
a bit
it
of
put right.
Yeah.
Nothing per se that I did wrong, other than I should have put the primer on the exterior of the van and the interior of the frame of the window.
Of the glass. So the primer goes on the glass and on the van. Now we had it on the van only. I don't know how we managed to get to that stage, but it wasn't working, and this thing was hardly held in. I mean, for a week or so, I was driving around with.
We were so worried it was just we were going to hit a bump, and
there was tape over the top of it.
Plop out.
Tape on the top holding.
So we had the wrong trim in, but then when the new trim arrived, that was no better, and we got to the stage.
That was U trim, and we went to J trim.
It went to the point where we needed to call someone in to sort it out. It was just beyond our capabilities to put right, shall we say. I mean, we could have cut out a bigger window and put in a big window, which would have been fine. But at the end of the day, that's the window we bought for there, so we bit the bullet.
The other major thing is, of course, that the adhesive, the binding adhesive, was designed to work in temperatures of 23 degrees. Let's just drive to Spain. It's been between 6 and 10 down here. But the guy that came out on a Saturday morning to us has got some professional grade adhesive, and it's great. You don't have to do anything different all the way down to 5 degrees.
So what changes did he make? So number one, he put primer on both surfaces.
Yep.
Number two, we did away with trim altogether, because trim is actually only there to make the inside look pretty. Yep. And we're framing our window anyway, so it doesn't matter. And the third thing that he did differently was he had the better glue.
Yes.
The bond.
Yes. So professional glue that's rated all the way down to 5.
That window was secured in place within an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was a brilliant guy. We've got some clips of him doing his thing. He had I had to have a look at this. He had an automated dispenser for the gluey stuff.
Yeah,
Whereas
so
poor old
for the sealant.
Pete's hand had been
Yeah.
like, oh my god.
Yeah.
He was like, had his like.
Oh, that's
little-
another thing, wasn't it? That that glue, because it was well below temperature, it was rock hard.
Yeah.
It was barely coming out of the tube properly.
So, as you can see, the window is back out of the hole. It didn't hold. We probably weren't sent the right trim to go with the window, and we now have a man turning up on the driveway to sort out the cock-up. So here we go. The bonded window is very definitely unbonded at the moment. We've seen lots of YouTube videos where people have done this installation twice. We're not alone. Hoping this helps to bust some of the myths around fitting a bonded window. We'll continue with the voiceover, as the decent, wind-protected microphone was just inside the house, but not on top of the camera. As you can see, this window has 2 condensation drainage channels. These drain condensation from the inside of the window to outside the van. These channels should point down. Yep, it's definitely a gravity thing. And be totally clear of obstructions such as bonding compound. First, degrease the window. It gets rid of any contaminants that may prevent the sealant from bonding, which could cause adhesion problems, allowing leaks to develop. Neither are good in a camper van. We had several installation issues. For our particular application, the U-trim and J-trim were unnecessary. All they did was push the window away from the side of the van and the bonding compound. If the trim is desired, it is important to use a taller bead of bonding compound on the window, but it affects that flush fitting look that we wanted. Our design for the interior involves framing the window in a way that it will cover up the edge of the metal. We intend to show the finished window in a later video. The DIY bonding compound we used the first time round is best used in temperatures over 20 degrees Celsius. We attempted our bond at a temperature of about 6 degrees Celsius. The bonding compound supplied to trade installers can be applied down to 5 degrees without any modification of procedure. Any colder than that will just require a longer curing time. The middle of winter on a cold, miserable day is not the ideal time to be fitting a bonded window to your van, especially if it's parked outside. You can see here that the primer, which is being applied using a bit of sponge, is added to both the van and the window. Bonding needs to occur on both sides of the bonding compound. We'll say it again, prime the van and prime the window. You can see here that there are some white bits of van paint visible. The previous installation had the bonding compound fused with the vinyl, and the vinyl had to be cut off. We'd already put a coat of primer on the van's white metal. We may have to touch up the vinyl with a bit of satin black spray paint at a later stage. Our man from the trade mentioned he'd always prefer to install bonded windows directly to the van's metalwork and not to vinyl. Cut off a margin of vinyl for best bonding results. Now that's what you call a gun. An electric squeezer instead of the manual hand pump. We mentioned that at low temperatures the DIY bonding compound becomes very, very viscous. Hard to pump out of the tube by hand. That's a nice fat bead of bonding compound. Not expecting any leaks now. Another handy tip that we used on the passenger side window later is to mask the area around the window cut out to make cleanup of overspilled compound straightforward. Pull it off with the tape later. Here, the masking tape is being applied to locate the window a little later once the bonding compound is applied. This is definitely not his first rodeo.
That socket arrangement would make Spider-Man jealous. For our first attempt, we handheld the window after the slide had been operated. That's a handy tip with the folded over masking tape. The window is now secured in place while the curing of the bonding compound happens.
Now we try one for ourselves. This is the driver's side. We did the passenger side a little later, but it's basically rinse and repeat. Behold the Ecoflow, provider of electricity of the DC kind and the wavy kind in our van, at least for now.
Today I'm going to be having a look at this sliding door. It doesn't seem to fit quite right, and we've only really noticed since the nice new floor is in that there's a bit of a water leakage problem going on at the top corner. This van is a Renault Master Mark III. In other markets it's also known as an Opel or a Vauxhall or even a Nissan. There are plenty of videos on YouTube on how to adjust the Mark II door, but we have a Mark III door which doesn't seem to be adjustable, and it definitely isn't adjustable in the same way as the Mark II. This van was a tired delivery van. That door has been slid open and closed many times, and I believe the little plastic bearings which go into the tracks are worn out. And from the outside of the door we can see that the door has dropped a little, so I'm hoping by replacing the arms with new bearings that we'll get this door aligned properly at the top and solve the leaking issue. It looks a fairly straightforward job. Some basic tools, a 13mm socket wrench, perhaps a T30 or a T20 impact driver. A bag arrived this morning with a brand new trim set, so I'll be installing that as well. What's also arrived is the middle bearing, arm, the top bearing and the bottom. My advice would be to anybody attempting this job is to shop around. If you go directly to Renault, they're looking for over £200 for this component. I got a handful of bearing rollers for less than £30, including an expedited delivery, so I really wanted to get this done. At the top, it's being held in with masking tape. I'm going to take off to get this job done properly. There is the bottom. The top bearing is up there. The middle one is over there. There we go. It's in a place I can now work on it. I'm going to support the weight of the door using this jack and a bit of wood. It's a 3-ton jack. That's 3,000 kilograms. Right, that's it. The jack should be taking the weight of the door now. So for my first trick, I'm going to take the middle arm off. And for that, I'm going to need the 13mm socket. There are the holes. It's important to have the door open, but not too much. You need to be able to get to these things to undo them. There it is. It's loose. Now let's try and figure out how to get it out. Oh, you pull it. As easy as that. These bearings here have definitely seen better days. I'm just going to go and get the vernier inside and measure them, compare it with the new. I think this is going to go a long way to solving the problem of the unsealing door. That looks like 17.5mm that way. There's a bit of a flat spot on this side. 1610. That's the old one. The new one is 1828. That's quite a difference. Something else I've just noticed. This mechanism over here has got 3 locating pins, and the one that came out has only got 1 left. That may have been contributing as well. I'm just going to swap the rubber between the old and the new. Now let's measure the correct bearing. I'm getting 25.66 millimeters there. On the new one, 25.92. That's not such a big difference. Well, here's the thing. The old one slipped out very easily, but to get the new one in, I've had to remove this end cap from the channel over here, so I could actually get the arm in the channel. Definitely much tighter. Good. Okay, that's the middle one done. I'm led to believe this is the main weight supporting one. So I've got 1, 2, 3 locating pins actually sticking through the holes instead of being stabbed off. I've tightened up those bolts. The next job is going to require a number 10 socket over here. So this is the next bearing I'm going to replace. I have the middle arm in, I have the top arm in. It hasn't made too much of a significant difference. So my next thing I'm going to attempt is replacing the door rubber. It looks like this thing could go either of 2 ways. I'm just going to try it out the way that the existing trim is at the moment, see if that works. If not, then I'm going to reverse it. Yeah, that's not good. So far, it's not working. I've tried a couple of things. I've put a new rubber on, I've put the middle roller bearing arm, the top one, but to me it's beginning to look like a panel beating problem. There appears to be no adjustment whatsoever in the door, but yet the door appears out of alignment. This might have to go to a mechanic or a panel beater to get it sorted out. Well, that's not ideal. It was quite a straightforward operation. Read my lips. No more tape. So the van has been off to a panel beaters and general mechanic. One job that happened was this rear roller mechanism was replaced. Now that needed some grinding off and hammering and
popping out the old rivet that's in there. That's raised the height of the door somewhat.
The door needed panel beating. Now on the Mark III Renault Master, the hinges are no longer adjustable. So if the door's not aligning, it actually needs to be bent to fit the hole properly. So that was a bit of a panel beating job, which is a little bit beyond where I'm comfortable at the moment. Very, very happy with the door. All 3 rollers have been replaced. It's running very smooth. It is weather sealed. We had quite the storm over the weekend here, and the seal held. No wind, no water. Very, very happy. So the little corner piece over here was previously showing daylight. That's now gone. Fantastic, what a result. These 2 back doors were adjusted as well. So again, a little bit of panel beating expertise required to get these doors to fit more flush than they were. Now they weren't leaking, there wasn't a problem, but they just looked like they were bulging out a little bit. That's now fixed. Very, very happy with that job. Driving the van, it feels like it is properly weather sealed. Before the panel beating was done, there was occasionally a little draft around the back of your neck, almost like a haunted house kind of feeling. Happy to say that's now gone, and having the floor down has also made a big difference to the noise and the warmth of the van. It's much more pleasant being in here. Thumbs up. That's not ideal. Crack in the windscreen. The windscreen itself is not in the best of shape. Right over there, there's another chip in the driver's line of sight, and there's some minor sandblasting effect to the rest of the screen. That's going to be all changed out quite soon, all covered by insurance, thankfully.
So that's us really, that's where we are at the moment. 3 windows, subfloor down, and what's coming next?
What's coming next is...
Oh, next week there won't be a video because we're off to the NEC.
That's right, that's what's coming next.
That's what's coming next. So we're kind of at a stage now where we really do need to decide on our layout. We keep flip-flopping to how we're gonna, what we're gonna do.
I really am going to staple it to something.
This bloody YouTube and Instagram.
Stop looking at it.
But they just pop up. I'm not searching.
They don't pop up if you don't look at it.
So you suddenly see something. Oh, that's nice. I mean, literally this morning I've changed completely the layout that I want, and I think we're going to stick with that one actually. To be honest,
we are because
we are.
Good thing or a bad thing to flip and flop. I think the layout makes sense with the equipment that we've got. It's going to make the wiring easier and the plumbing a lot easier.
And it's one we hadn't considered at all.
No, not at all.
But there we go. So we're off to the NEC. We're going to have a look at layouts. We're going to have a look at ideas of colours and materials, etc. And also we're going to look at the sales stands, and hopefully we might pick up a bargain for something for our van build as well. So we'll be releasing our next video that will include our trip to the NEC as well.
Yes, we will.
So I think that's it for this week.
That's it for this one.
We'll see you next time. Take care, guys.
Thank you.